right, so I've got a couple questions for you about being an athletic director. So, first of all, what role do you believe athletics play in a student's development?
Well, it, it plays a big role, and that's one thing we've tried to do here at Faith is make it, where academics and um, and athletics, kind of go hand in hand. I've worked at some schools where athletics played a big part in the um, in the total school, and it was such a good climate around the school. Um, you know, the morale around the school, I guess, is the way to say it. And this was in the public school setting, was just so good. And then I've worked at schools where athletics weren't emphasized, and you know, academics might be really good, but it just kind of everybody went their own way. And I think athletics have a lot to do in bringing a school together. Um,
Okay. So, whenever you look for coaches, what do you look for in the coaches?
well, first of all, knowledge of the game, knowledge of the sport that they're coaching, but at a Christian school like this, we have to look for the right fit, for a Christian school. Obviously, you know, they have to have the same beliefs we have, in order to fit in. Um, Fortunately, because I coached, in the public schools for 31 years, and I've got a lot of contacts. So a lot of times when we need somebody, I know who we want to go to. Like the football coach we just hired, he and I had worked together at two different schools. He was retired, and it worked out real well. So, but most of the time, we have to just make sure they fit the faith Christian ideals, I guess is the best word for it. They have to represent the school in a Christian way,
Mm-hmm.
as well as being knowledgeable in their sport that they coach and so
Okay.
forth.
So, what is the if you are to fire a coach, what type of process do you have to go through?
I really haven't had that situation here. We haven't had that situation here. I think generally before we got to that point, there would be a lot of, you know, trying to help the person be better. Sit down and try to do things that from my end that we could do to help them be more successful. Sometimes if they're, I guess my experience here is if they're not if they're not very good at what they're doing, they kind of figure it out. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of figure it out before, and a lot of times, that they'll say, "Wait a minute, I might not be cut out to do this," and they'll resign and move on. But since I've been in this position, we haven't had any of those situations.
Okay.
We've had a couple, of coaches that have left for other jobs and so forth, and that's where I kind of leaned on some of my people that I knew from the last 35 years, I guess. You know, trying to fill those spots.
Okay. So, how does fundraising have an impact on
Ooh.
athletics?
Huge. Um, we, at Faith Christian, um, the way we're funded, um, the school through tuition, through athletic fees, and gate receipts and so forth, they fund about 60% of our athletic program. So our athletic booster club has to fund the other approximately 40% of it. So that plays a huge role because we've got to do things to raise money for our athletic program so that our kids have what they need. Um, we're not allotted by the state so much per student or whatever in the athletics. So our stuff's kind of self funded. Um, the other part, we just started a new program here that was very expensive. Football.
Mm-hmm.
We started our football program here, and probably for the last 10 months, that's pretty much what we've done is raise money, and we've been very fortunate. We've had a lot of people in the community step up, but we've probably raised $75,000 just in the last 10 months to get football started. Because when we announced we were starting football, the school didn't even own a football. We didn't own a football. We didn't have anywhere to practice. So we've had to raise a lot of money and get a lot of stuff done around here. But yeah, fundraising is a huge part of what I do.
Okay. So what have y'all had to do to coordinate and develop those events for like fundraising and athletics?
Well, it's really worked out. The fundraising stuff's kind of been set up here for years. The Booster Club. We've just kind of continued with, we had the big thing at the Fall Festival, the chicken and barbecue plates and all, and that's one of our big fundraisers. We count on concessions. That's another one of our big fundraisers at our athletic events, and probably the hardest part of that is when we're hosting a big athletic. I guess this is answering your question, but when we're hosting a big athletic event, like when we hosted Rocky Mount Academy here a few weeks ago, that was huge. There's never been this many people on campus, and the biggest thing was not so much scheduling; it's scheduling the workers, because everybody wanted to be at the game. So we had to have Booster Club parents, taking up tickets. We had to have Booster Club parents, doing the concessions. We had to set up an extra concession stand because we just weren't equipped here for a crowd of 1,700 people. But the other thing, I guess, another thing in coordinating, and this isn't so much with the fundraising and all, was starting a new program like football, having to coordinate it because they share the field with soccer. And being able to coordinate events and change schedules around so that they don't interfere with each other.
Okay. What type of skill sets do you have to like become an athletic director?
You have to be a jack of all trades. Honestly, you have to. I mean, it comes from dealing with budgets to dealing with people, to dealing with that being coaches, or dealing with athletes and parents, administration at the school. You have to be able to fix things. I mean, when things break, you got to be able to fix them. And I mean, even down to cleaning the restrooms and emptying the trash cans. I mean, honestly, you got to be able to do a lot of stuff. And you got to be able to manage it all. Juggle it all and get it all done. So it leads to some long days.
So, do you consider yourself a leader as being an athletic director?
Well, I mean, I would hope so. Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so. Had to be in this starting this football thing because nobody here had any experience with it. Nobody knew what to do. They decided, the board decided they wanted to have football, but nobody knew what to do to start it.
Okay.
What we had to do to start it. So, the first thing we did is I went and hired a coach that I was familiar with, that I had worked with in the past, and he and I just started putting everything in. I mean, so yeah, I had to be a leader. I had to say, yeah, we need this, this is what we need to do next,
Okay.
And so forth. So yeah, I would consider myself a leader.
All right. So, lastly, what do you find most rewarding about being an athletic director?
Well, just being around high school athletes and seeing them be successful is a big part of it. Last year in the baseball program, I mean, that was very rewarding to see you guys, all the work you put in, and to end up with a state championship. I guess this year the biggest thing is to see our football team be successful because we're a first year program. We haven't, none of our kids had any experience playing football. It's been a long, hard process, but the kids committed to our coach, and they were here 4 days a week all summer and learned some football, and have just continued to get better and all. So that part of it's rewarding, seeing when we make facility improvements around here, some capital improvements, facility improvements around here. That's rewarding. And you know, I guess probably, I don't know if you were here tonight. We played Rocky Mountain Academy, but just to, I mean, just to see how successful that was. You know, we had a huge night financially that night. You know, just there were cars parked all up and down Beechwood. I mean, the street out there. You know, and you've never seen so many people here. And you know, everything went off really well. And so that was rewarding. Outcome of the game wasn't what we wanted, but that's to be expected with them. They're an established program, but you know, I mean, that's rewarding. But seeing the kids and seeing you guys go off to school and become successful, that's rewarding because y'all were taught the right things.
All right. Well, thank you.
That it?
Yeah.
Well, I hope I helped you.